one of the things that stood out to me in that unpacking of the perfection element that you're talking about, we're so scared of imperfection because it reveals there's parts of us that are not ideal by some external comparison or by some internal trigger or some past experience where we have that feeling. How do you now deal with your imperfections? Like, how do you feel about parts of you that are not perfect?
I'm okay with that. I actually think a lot of who I am are just a few things that are not perfect. Even down to my laugh. Sometimes I used to be insecure about my laugh, or, the fact that I'll always talk during a movie, or, I always do something minuscule. And I think little things like that make me happy because I feel like everybody else in the world. For example, a very small example, but this Halloween, I was a banana, and I genuinely just like got the cheapest outfit, put it on, and roamed around Times Square with my friends and had the best time. And everyone kept sending me these memes because everybody else kind of went all out, and maybe I could have painted my face and done a little more, but everyone looked really sexy and fun, and literally I was a banana. That's basically sums up who I am to a T. And it was that to me means that I don't have to be perfect all the time. I'd rather be that girl.
Yeah. And how does that apply to work? Like, how does that perfectionist mindset work in terms of like music or creation or acting? Like, because that's beautiful in your personal life. It sounds like there's this acceptance of, we can be more in flow. But then how does that apply to like writing or creating or building? Like,
well, I think I always say this in any session: there are no stupid questions. I always have to say that out loud, because sometimes I genuinely will think, well, what does this mean? And how can I unpack this and create a song from this? Or how do I unpack this scene and do the best I can? There are mistakes that happen in the studio and on set that actually end up becoming a part of it. Me messing up a line actually ended up being funny, and we kept it in the show. Or there's something I said in a lyric that was wrong, and it ends up being the biggest hook that we've got. And I look for those moments. I crave those moments.
That's a great example. I love all of those. And it just, that's what feels like magic, right? Like it's when the imperfection can somehow become a part of the process, where you're just like, wow, this actually feels like we got somewhere. And so I think when we start, I love that idea applied both personally and professionally, because I think even the parts of ourselves that we consider to be imperfect, the parts of ourselves that we consider to be broken, when you start seeing use in those, when you start seeing purpose in those,
I always say that there's blessing in the breaking. And every moment that you encounter in your life, even if it's just road rage, as simple as that, to maybe losing someone that you love, there is no perfect way to heal. There is no perfect way of dealing with something. It's more just, how am I going to be a better person? How am I going to make the best choice for myself so that I don't end up angry at that person on the highway, so that I don't end up ruining my day because of what someone did to me on the 405. I want to also say that, how can I turn something like losing someone I so dearly love into, well, how can I celebrate that person and the great things that they provided me, or that they gave me? That takes a lot of work, so I don't say that lightly, but I try my hardest to do that. And I try to have my friends hold me accountable to reminding me, hey, let's try to flip this and try to turn it into something else.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I'm gathering from listening to you is that again, you're not saying I've arrived and this is how I think now. You're saying this is what I'm trying to practice. Like this is the approach that I'm mining in my own life. And
absolutely, this is practice. Every day is practice. I even said it last night at the premiere. I was saying, I don't have anything figured out. I am definitely not like, I'm sold, I'm good. It's more just, this is a continuation.
Yeah.
My story's not done, and I can't wait to find out what's going to happen next. And doesn't mean it's going to be easy, and I'm sure there's going to be bumps that happen, but I'm going to learn how to live with them.
Yeah. As someone who's so committed to moving forward, what did it feel like going back to like your school and all these old places? I won't give away too many, but in the documentary you go and visit.
I love that.
What does that do?
Well, going home is like, to me, it's untainted territory.
Right.
It is safe. It is simple and kind. Where I'm from, it is all about, being together, loving each other. I go home and people are like, welcome home, Miss Gomez. They're not, treating me any differently. And I enjoy visiting, what made me who I am. And it always gives me a good sense of like, oh, I hope I can inspire people from where I'm from, because there's not a lot to do where I'm from, but I hope I can inspire just one person to do something bigger than that.
Yeah. Was there any particular place that you went back that almost gave you a special feeling, or something surprised you that you're like, oh, I didn't think this was going to be? Yeah.
Well, my snow cone place. I loved that place. I would go with my dad all the time and my cousin, and we would get the pickle snow cones with grape in it. And it would just be so yummy and amazing. And it just, brought me back to when it would be so hot in Texas, and I was with my family, and we would just stop there and sit outside for an hour and just talk, and it was just the best.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's great to hear. I think there's always, I have this park in my hometown. Mm-hmm. It's called Broomfield Park, and it's still charming to me, even though I don't think if anyone else went there, they'd find it that charming. They'd be like, okay.
I know.
But when I go back, I know where I used to go and buy my ice cream from, and where the truck would be. And there's all these special moments that almost, but it sounds like, again, like it sounds like it's not like you're like, oh, I missed that. It's almost like that was a part of me, and it's a beautiful thing. But now I'm happy to be new. And even today when we were just walking over here and we were talking about just you finding places that fuel you.
Yeah.
And it seems like you've become open to saying, okay, it's okay that life is changing and transitioning.
Yeah.
And there's new places that feel more like home than old places.
I hate change. I really do. But I felt in the past year, which is it's pretty new.
Yeah.
I have really, really embraced the uncomfortableness of change. And I think it's because I get so exhausted of the same thing over and over again. And it scares me, but I did learn that my world can be bigger. By being in a different destination. I work on my show, Only Murders in the Building. It's in New York where I shoot, and I've never spent more than a week or two in New York, and I'm there for months. And just that alone was an uncomfortable, experience. But I loved it, and I loved the friendships I made and the knowledge that I was gaining, the people I was around, the park and walking, and just how precious life is. It's celebrated. There's culture. It just becomes addicting to want to put yourself in these situations and see what happens. So I will say in the past year, I've felt more comfortable with change, and I'm grateful for it. And I'm going to continue to do that. And I want that.